The alarm bells rang through Council Station Alpha like screaming metal birds. Commander Jinho sat in his cold metal chair, hands tied behind his back with energy chains that glowed blue in the dark room. His brown eyes stayed calm even though 30 of his crew members were locked up somewhere else in this huge space station. The door opened with a loud hiss. 3 aliens walked in. The first one looked like a giant lizard walking on 2 legs. His scales were dark green and his yellow eyes looked angry. This was Council Prime Velther from the Axiom Empire. Behind him came 2 smaller aliens that looked like walking trees with too many arms. Human, Velther said in his deep voice that sounded like rocks falling down a mountain. Do you know why you are here? Jinho looked up at the alien leader. Because you found us. Found you? Velther's voice got louder. You were supposed to stay on Earth? Your kind was banned from leaving your home system 20 years ago? Yet here you are, flying around our space like you own it. Jinho almost smiled but stopped himself. We were just exploring. Exploring? One of the tree-like aliens stepped forward. Her voice sounded like wind through leaves. Your ship was found near the Kepler colonies. Human colonies that should not exist. The door opened again. This time, a female alien walked in. She was tall and thin with blue skin and 4 arms. Her name was Mira, and she worked as the Council's top scientist who studied different species. She carried a small glowing tablet in one of her hands. Council Prime, Mira said, her voice shaking a little. The test results are back. The humans we found, they are different. Velther turned his big head toward her. Different how? Mira touched her tablet and pictures appeared in the air above it. The pictures showed human bodies, but something was wrong with them. Their muscles looked stronger, their bones were thicker. Their blood was a slightly different color. The humans on Kepler 7 can breathe the air there without help, Mira said. The air that would kill any of us in minutes. The humans on Zarian Station can see in complete darkness. The ones on Velkari Prime can survive temperatures that would freeze our blood solid. The room went very quiet. Jinho watched the aliens look at each other with fear in their eyes. That is impossible, Velther said slowly. No species can adapt that fast. It takes millions of years. Not humans, Mira whispered. They have been changing themselves. Each group that goes to a new world becomes something new. Something better suited for that world. Jinho finally allowed himself to smile. You really thought we stayed on Earth all this time, didn't you? Before anyone could answer, the lights in the room started flashing red. A voice came from speakers in the walls. Emergency in the council chamber. All senior staff report immediately. Velther looked confused and angry. What now? They left Jinho alone in the room, but he could hear what was happening through the thin walls. Voices were shouting, feet were running in the hallways. Something big was happening. After what felt like hours, the door opened again. This time only Mira came in. She looked scared and tired. There is someone I need to show you, she said. To Jinho, she led him through long hallways filled with aliens running back and forth. Guards pointed weapons at Jinho, but Mira waved them away. They reached the main council chamber, a huge round room with seats for hundreds of aliens from different worlds. In the center of the room stood a human man. He was older than Jinho, with gray hair and calm eyes. He wore simple clothes, not a uniform like Jinho. But there was something about the way he stood that made him look important. My name is Taejin, the man said to the room full of aliens. His voice was not loud, but everyone could hear him clearly. I have been living among you for 8 years. The aliens in the room started making noise. Some were angry, some were scared, some were just confused. 8 years, Velther shouted. Impossible. We scan everyone who enters council space. Taejin smiled the same small smile that Jinho had made earlier. You scan for what you expect. To find, you look for human ships, human technology, human DNA patterns that match your old records. But you never thought to look for humans who might have changed. He walked slowly around the center of the room while all the aliens watched him. I worked as a translator on 3 different worlds. I helped write trade agreements between your species. I even helped design the security systems you use to keep humans out of council space. Mira stepped forward with her tablet. Show them, she said quietly. Taejin nodded and held out his hand. Mira pressed something on her tablet, and a small device appeared in the air above Taejin's palm. It looked like a tiny metal insect with glowing wings. This is how we talk to each other, Taejin said. Every human in council space has one. They are so small that your scanners cannot find them. They use a type of energy that your sensors think is just background radiation from space. The flying device made a soft humming sound and then disappeared. Right now, Taejin continued, I am sending a message to every human in this part of the galaxy. The message is very simple. They found us. Valthar's scales turned a darker color, which meant he was very angry or very scared. How many of you are there? Taejin looked directly at the alien leader. More than you banned, less than you fear, but enough. Enough for what? Mira asked. Enough to come home, Taejin said simply. The room exploded with noise as aliens started shouting and arguing. But Jinho noticed that Taejin just stood there, looking calm and patient, like someone who had been waiting a very long time for this moment to arrive. So Young felt the small device in her earbuds 3 times. She was sitting in her office on Kepler Station, looking out the big window at the stars. The 3 buzzes meant only one thing: emergency. The council had found them. She pressed a button on her desk and spoke quietly. Code 7, all stations, this is not a drill. Across 12 different star systems, humans who had been waiting for years heard the same message. They had jobs as traders, miners, teachers, and mechanics. But today they would remember who they really were. On the mining world of Zarian 7, Dongwu was deep underground when his device buzzed. He was supposed to be digging for rare metals that the aliens used in their machines. But for 8 years he had been digging for something else. Boys, he called to his team of 20 human miners. Time to go home. The miners stopped their work and followed Dongwu deeper into the tunnels. They walked for 10 minutes until they reached a huge cave that the aliens did not know about. Inside the cave sat 30 ships that looked nothing like human ships from Earth. These ships were sleek and quiet. They were built using metal that the team had been mining for years. The metal was so rare that most aliens had never seen it. It could bend light around itself, making ships nearly invisible. It could also absorb energy weapons, making the ships very hard to destroy. 8 years of digging, said one of the miners, a young woman named Yujin. I almost forgot what sunlight looked like. Dongwu patted her shoulder. You will see plenty of sunlight soon. These ships are going to take us to places where humans are supposed to be. Meanwhile, on the beautiful world of Valkyrie Prime, Hyjin was sitting in the great library. She looked like a simple student, studying old books and learning about alien culture. The Valkyrie aliens were proud of their library. It held the history and knowledge of their people going back 3,000 years. When her device buzzed, Hyjin smiled and pulled out what looked like a normal reading tablet. But this tablet was special. She connected it to the library's main computer system using cables that were so thin they could not be seen. Protocol 7 activated, she whispered to herself. All around the library, information started copying itself. Books, videos, maps, scientific research, military plans, and historical records flowed into hidden human computers. In 6 hours, humans would know everything the Valkyrie had learned in 3,000 years. But Hyjin was not the only human on Valkyrie Prime. There were 12 others, all pretending to be students or workers. Each one was downloading information from different places: museums, government buildings, military bases, and research centers. All began sharing their secrets without knowing it. The same thing was happening on other worlds. Namsu had been flying cargo ships between alien planets for 20 years. Everyone thought he was just a pilot who carried food, tools, and other supplies from place to place. They never suspected that he was mapping every space route, every hidden passage, and every shortcut through their territory. Namsu's cargo ship looked old and slow, but hidden inside were computers that measured everything. How long did it take to fly from one world to another? Where were the space police stations? Which routes had the least security? Where could a ship hide if it needed to? Now, all of that information was being sent to other humans throughout the galaxy. They would know exactly how to move their ships. Without being caught, on the industrial world of Karex Station, a human named Junho had been working as an engineer for 15 years. He helped design power systems, communication networks, and even defensive shields for alien space stations. The aliens trusted him because he was good at his job and never caused trouble, but Junho had been building something into every system he touched. Small pieces of code that looked like normal programming but could be activated with the right signal. When that signal came, he could shut down power grids, take control of communication systems, and turn off defensive shields. 15 years, he said to himself as he typed commands into his computer. 15 years of putting backdoors in their systems. They never noticed because they never thought a human could be smarter than them. All across Council space, the effects of Code 7 were starting to show. Transportation systems began having small problems. Communication networks started sending messages to the wrong places. Security cameras stopped working in certain areas. The aliens noticed these problems. But they thought they were just random equipment failures. They did not realize that humans were preparing the galaxy for something big. Back on Kepler Station, So Young received reports from all the human teams. Everything was working perfectly. The aliens still did not understand how many humans were living among them or how long they had been preparing for this day. She opened a special communication channel that could reach all the way to Earth. It used technology that aliens had not invented yet, so they could not detect it or stop it. Earth. Control, this is Kepler Station, she said. The Council knows about our colonies. Code 7 is active. All teams are ready for the next phase. The voice that answered came from very far away, but it was clear and strong. Understood, Kepler Station. Phase 2 will begin in 72 hours. Make sure all teams are in position. So Young looked out at the stars again. Somewhere out there, human ships were getting ready to move. Not invasion ships, but liberation ships. Ships that would remind the galaxy who had really built this civilization. In the first place, she thought about her grandmother, who had died on Earth never knowing if humans would ever be free to explore the stars again. Her grandmother had told her stories about the old days when humans had cities on hundreds of worlds and the aliens looked up to them as teachers and protectors. Soon, grandmother, So Young whispered. Soon we will show them that you cannot keep humans caged forever. In the distance, she could see alien security ships flying toward Kepler Station. They were coming to investigate the reports of human colonies. But they were already too late. The humans were not hiding anymore. They were preparing to come home. The council chamber had never been so quiet. Every alien representative sat perfectly still as the large screen in front of them showed a human face. The man on the screen had gray hair and kind eyes, but there was something about him that made even the strongest alien warriors feel nervous. My name is Kyung Ho, the human said. His voice came from speakers all around the room, making it seem like he was standing right there with them. Some of you might remember me. I was supposed to have died in the Kethran War 20 years ago. Council Prime Velther gripped the arms of his chair so hard that his claws left marks in the metal. You were the human ambassador. We saw your ship explode, Kyung Ho smiled sadly. You saw what I wanted you to see. My real mission was never to make peace with the Kethran. My real mission was to study you, all of you. To learn your weaknesses, your fears, your secrets. The screen changed to show pictures of space. But these were not empty pictures. They showed planets covered with cities, ships flying between worlds, and millions of humans living and working in places where the Council thought no humans existed. While you celebrated my death, Kyung Ho continued, I was watching your species grow comfortable. You thought you had won. You thought Earth was a prison that would keep humans trapped forever. But Earth was never a prison, it was a base. A place where we could plan and prepare for our return. An alien that looked like a giant insect stood up. His voice buzzed like 1,000 flies. This is impossible. We have sensors throughout the galaxy. We would have detected large groups of humans. You detected what you expected to find? Kyung-ho said. Old human technology, old human ship designs, old human genetic patterns. But we are not the same humans you knew 20 years ago. The screen showed a human woman working in what looked like an alien laboratory. She was tall and strong, with silver hair that seemed to glow in the light. Her name appeared on the screen. Sun Hee. Dr. Sun Hee has been working as an archaeologist for 10 years, Kyung-ho explained. She has been digging up ruins on 47 different worlds. Ruins that you thought belonged to some ancient alien species that disappeared long ago. Sun Hee's voice came through the speakers. She sounded excited, like a teacher who had just discovered something amazing. The ruins were not built by aliens, she said. They were built by humans. Humans who lived in this galaxy thousands of years before any of your species learned to build fire. The council chamber erupted in noise. Aliens were shouting, arguing, and demanding proof. But the screen kept showing evidence. Pictures of ruins with writing that looked like ancient human languages. Tools and machines that matched human hand. Shapes, art that showed human faces and human families. Impossible, Veltha roared. Humans are a young species. Your planet shows no evidence of advanced civilization older than a few thousand years. Because we left, Sun Hee said simply. Long ago, humans ruled this galaxy. We built cities on thousands of worlds. We helped younger species learn and grow. But something happened. Something terrible that forced us to abandon everything and return to one small world at the edge of space. The screen showed more pictures. These were of machines and devices that the council species used every day. Faster than light engines, quantum communicators, energy shields, gravity manipulators. Every piece of technology that your species are proud of, Sun Hee continued, was invented by humans. You found our abandoned machines and learned to copy them, but you never understood how they really worked. A new human appeared on the screen. This one was younger, with dark hair and serious eyes. His name was J1. I have spent 15 years studying your histories, J1 said. Every single one of your species tells the same story. Long ago, your ancestors found amazing machines in ancient ruins. These machines taught them how to travel between stars, how to communicate across vast distances, how to build the council that governs the galaxy today. The screen showed pictures from different alien worlds. Museums full of ancient artifacts. Government buildings built in styles that looked surprisingly human. Even the design of the council chamber itself, with its circular shape and raised platform in the center. You have been living in our house, J1 said quietly, using our tools, following our laws, governing yourselves with our system. And you never even realized it? The silence in the room was complete now. No alien was speaking. They were all staring at the evidence on the screen, trying to understand what it meant. Why? The voice came from Mera, the council scientist. Why did you leave? Why did humans abandon all of this? Kyung-ho appeared on the screen again. His face looked sad and tired because we became proud. We thought we were better than the species we were supposed to protect. We stopped listening to their needs. We stopped caring about their problems. We became rulers instead of guardians. The younger species rebelled, Sun Hee added. They had every right to. We had forgotten that strength should be used to help others, not to control them. The war that followed nearly destroyed the galaxy. So we left, J1 said. The few humans who survived gathered on one small world and decided to start over. We gave up our technology. We forgot our history. We lived simple lives and promised ourselves that if we ever returned to the stars, we would do better. The screen showed Earth looking small and blue and peaceful. Then it showed human ships leaving Earth, spreading out to different worlds. But we did not forget everything, Kyung-ho said. Deep in our genetic memory, we remembered this galaxy. We remembered the worlds we had built. We remembered the species we had helped. And slowly, carefully, we began to come home. Velthor. finally found his voice. "What do you want from us?" "We want to fix our mistakes," Kyung-ho said. "We want to heal the damage that war and pride caused. We want to work with you to build something better than what existed before." "And if we refuse?" asked the insect-like alien. Kyung-ho's expression did not change, but somehow his presence seemed to fill the entire room. "Then you will learn why the council banned humans in the first place. Not because you defeated us, but because you were afraid of what we could become if we decided to stop being peaceful." The transmission ended, leaving the council chamber in complete silence. Every alien in the room was thinking the same thing. They had not banned humans from the galaxy. They had just given humans 20 years to get ready for war. Admiral Minho stood on the bridge of the human flagship Eternal Return, watching as 17 different worlds appeared on his screens. Each world was home to millions of aliens who had no idea what was about to happen. Behind him, his crew worked quietly at their stations, preparing for the largest military operation in human history. "Admiral," said his communications officer, a young woman named Bo Young, "all fleets are in position." "We have confirmation from every system," Minho nodded slowly. "Send the message to Earth. Tell them that Operation Homecoming has begun." Operation Homecoming was not an invasion. It was something much more complicated. For 30 years, human scientists and historians had been studying every world in the galaxy, looking for evidence of ancient human settlements. They had found that evidence on hundreds of worlds, but 17 of them were special. These 17 worlds had once been major human colonies, centers of learning and culture that had thrived for thousands of years. The aliens living on these worlds now had built their cities on top of ancient human ruins. They had grown their food in soil that humans had prepared. They had used human technology to build their civilizations. In many ways, they were living in human houses and calling them their own. "Oh, Young," Minho said, "open a channel to all 17 worlds at the same time." The young woman's fingers flew over her control panel. "Channel open, Admiral." Minho took a deep breath. He was about to change the galaxy forever. "People of the 17 worlds, this is Admiral Minho of the Human Liberation Fleet. We are not here to hurt you. We are here to come home." On each of the 17 worlds, alien leaders rushed to their communication centers. They had never seen ships like the ones that had just appeared in their skies. The human vessels were beautiful and terrible at the same time. They looked like they were made of liquid metal and starlight, and they moved through space without making any sound. "We know this is frightening," Minho continued. "We know you have been told that humans are dangerous invaders who want to conquer the galaxy, but we are not invaders. We are the original inhabitants of these worlds, and we have come to reclaim what was always ours." On the military world of Corex Prime, General Thacaron of the Corex Defense Force tried to activate his planet's defensive shields, but when he pressed the button, nothing happened. The shields that had protected his world for 50 years simply would not turn on. "What is wrong with the shields?" he shouted at his technicians. One of them, a nervous alien with 6 arms, looked up from his control panel. "Sir, the system is not responding. It is like someone else is controlling it." General Thacaron did not know that 15 years ago, a human engineer named Young Su had helped design those shield systems. Young Su had built secret commands into the programming, commands that could only be activated by humans. When Operation Homecoming began, those commands turned off defensive systems on hundreds of worlds. The same thing was happening everywhere. Weapon systems refused to fire. Communication networks carried only human messages. Even the doors on military bases would not open for alien soldiers. Young Su himself was on a space station near Corex Prime, working at a computer terminal and smiling as he watched the aliens panic. 15 years of patience, he said to himself. 15 years of pretending to be their helpful engineer. But every circuit I built, every program I wrote, every system I designed, they all had one purpose: to make sure that when humans came home, nobody could stop us. But the human fleets were not attacking. Instead, they were doing something that confused and amazed the aliens. They were healing the worlds, on the dead world of Zarian 9, a planet that had been strip-mined and left as a poisoned wasteland. Human bioships began releasing clouds of tiny machines into the atmosphere. These machines, called restoration nanites, started rebuilding the planet's ecosystem. Dead soil became fertile. Poisoned water became clean. The gray, lifeless landscape began to turn green. EUN-G, the human scientist in charge of the restoration project, watched from her ship as an entire world came back to life. "This is what we should have done from the beginning," she said. "Instead of taking resources from worlds, we should have been giving life back to them." The aliens on nearby worlds watched in amazement as Zarian 9 transformed from a dead rock into a beautiful garden world in just a few hours. Some of them began to understand that these humans were not like the conquerors they had feared, but understanding the humans was not easy. On the scholarly world of Veltari Prime, a human philosopher named Seok-jin addressed the planet's greatest thinkers through their communication networks. "We know you are afraid," Seok-jin said. His voice was gentle but firm. "You think we have come to enslave you or destroy your civilization. But we have not come for revenge. We have come because we finally remembered who we used to be." The alien scholars listened carefully as Seok-jin explained the burden that humans carried. "When we left the galaxy thousands of years ago, we tried to forget everything. We wanted to start over, to become a simple species that would never again make the mistakes we had made. But you cannot really forget who you are. The memories stayed hidden in our genes, in our dreams, in the stories we told our children. For 20 years, the Council kept us trapped on Earth," Seok-jin continued. "But those 20 years gave us time to remember, time to understand what we had lost and what we needed to do to earn it back. We are not the same humans who left this galaxy in shame. We have learned humility. We have learned patience. We have learned that true strength comes from helping others, not from ruling them." The alien scholars began to debate among themselves. Some wanted to fight the humans, others wanted to negotiate. But a few of them, the wisest ones, began to ask a different question. What if the humans were right? What if this galaxy really did belong to them? Admiral Minho received reports from all 17 fleets. The operations were proceeding perfectly. Not a single shot had been fired, not a single alien had been harmed. The human ships had simply appeared, taken control of critical systems, and begun the process of restoration and reclamation. "Admiral," Bo-young said, "we are receiving surrender offers from 6 of the worlds. They want to negotiate." Minho shook his head. "Tell them there is nothing to negotiate. We are not here to make deals or sign treaties. We are here to take back what was always ours. But we are also here to make it better than it was before." He looked out at the stars, thinking about the long journey that had brought humanity to this moment. The Council thought they could ban us from our own galaxy. They thought 20 years would be enough time for us to forget who we were and accept our exile, but they were wrong. You cannot ban the ocean from returning to the shore. You cannot ban the stars from shining. And you cannot ban a species from coming home. The 17 worlds waited to see what the humans would do next. Some aliens prepared for war. Others prepared for slavery. But none of them were prepared for what actually happened. The humans prepared to teach them how to build a better galaxy. President Chan-woo stood in the center of the rebuilt capital station, looking out at representatives from 43 different species. The station orbited Kepler Prime, which had once been the capital world of the ancient human empire. Now, it was the capital of something new, a galaxy, where all species worked together as equals. 2 years had passed since Operation Homecoming. 2 years of hard work, difficult conversations, and slow healing. The 17 worlds that humans had reclaimed were now thriving centers of cooperation between humans and aliens. Cities that had been built on ancient human ruins were now shared spaces where different species lived and worked side by side. "Friends," Chan-woo said, his voice carrying to every corner of the Great Hall. "Today marks the 2nd anniversary of our return to the galaxy. But more importantly, it marks the beginning of something that has never existed before, a truly united galactic civilization. The alien representatives listened carefully. Some of them had fought against the humans. At first, others had welcomed them. All of them had been changed by what they had learned about the galaxy's true history. Riam, the head of the new Interspecies Development Council, stepped forward. She was a human, but her team included representatives from every known species. "Our first 2 years have shown what we can accomplish together," she said. "We have healed 37 dead worlds. We have established trade routes that benefit everyone. We have shared technology that has improved life for billions of beings." In the audience, Velther, the former Council Prime, nodded slowly. His people, the Axiom, had been among the most suspicious of human intentions. But now his homeworld was producing more food than ever before, thanks to human agricultural technology. His people were healthier, living longer, and exploring parts of space they had never been able to reach before. The humans kept their promises, Velther had told his people. They came not as conquerors, but as gardeners. They have helped us grow. But the real symbol of the new galaxy was standing near the front of the hall. Jianam was 20 years old, and he was something that had never existed before, a human-Valkyrie hybrid. His mother was human, his father was from Velther's species. He had inherited the strength and adaptability of humans, but also the long life and deep wisdom of the Valkyrie. Jianam was not alone. Throughout the galaxy, children were being born to parents from different species. These children carried genetic memories from both of their parent species, giving them knowledge and abilities that no single species had ever possessed. "They are the future," said Subin, the human scientist who led the Galactic Research Initiative. "These children understand things that we adults are still learning. They see connections between different species that we never noticed. They solve problems in ways that none of us would have thought of." Subin's research teams included members from 15 different species, all working together to unlock the secrets of the universe. They had made discoveries in the past 2 years that surpassed anything achieved in the previous century. New medicines that could heal diseases affecting any species. New energy sources that were clean and unlimited. New ways of traveling through space that were faster and safer than anything before. But perhaps the most important discovery was made by Wonho, a human philosopher who studied the history of galactic civilizations. He had spent months in the ancient archives, reading records that went back millions of years. "This has all happened before," Wonho announced to the gathered representatives. "Not just once, but many times. Species rise to power, grow proud, fall from grace, and disappear. Then new species take their place and the cycle begins again." Wonho showed them records of civilizations that had existed long before humans or any of the current species. Great empires that had spanned the galaxy only to destroy themselves through war, greed, or simple neglect of their responsibilities. "Humans were not the first to rule this galaxy," Wonho said. "We were just the most recent. And if we are not careful, we will not be the last to fall." This knowledge changed everything. It made humans humble, knowing that they were part of a pattern that stretched back through time. It made the other species hopeful, knowing that they too might one day lead the galaxy. Most importantly, it made everyone determined to break the cycle of rise and fall. "That is why we share everything," Chen Wu explained. "Our technology, our knowledge, our responsibilities. No single species should ever again bear the burden of leading the galaxy alone." As if to prove his point, the ceremony's final speaker was not human. Jihai was a young human woman, but she was speaking as the representative of the first joint species exploration mission. Her ship, Unity, carried explorers from 12 different species, heading beyond the galaxy to discover what lay in the vast darkness between the stars. "We are not just rebuilding this galaxy," Jihai said, her voice full of excitement and hope. "We are preparing to explore beyond it. Together we will discover new worlds, new species, new possibilities that none of us could imagine alone." The Unity was a marvel of cooperative engineering. Its engines were based on ancient human designs, but improved with Valkyrie mathematics, Orcs materials science, and innovations from half a dozen other species. Its crew had trained together for 2 years, learning to work as a single unit, despite their different languages, cultures, and biological needs. When we return, Jai continued, we will bring back knowledge that belongs to all of us. No single species will claim ownership of what we discover. Everything we learn will be shared with everyone so that all of us can grow together. As the ceremony ended, the representatives began to leave the Great Hall. But many of them stayed to talk with each other, making plans for new projects, new partnerships, new ways to work together. Humans talked with former enemies about building schools on distant worlds. Aliens who had once feared human technology now asked for help designing better cities. Outside the station, the Unity waited at its docking port. Its hull gleamed with symbols from every species in the galaxy, a visual reminder that it belonged to all of them. In a few hours, it would begin its journey to the edge of known space and beyond. Chan-Wu watched the ship through a viewport, thinking about the long road that had brought them to this moment. Humans had been banned from the galaxy, labeled as dangerous invaders who needed to be contained. But the ban had come too late. Humans were already out there, learning, growing, preparing for their return. Now they were home, but it was a different kind of home than they had left. It was a home they shared with others, a home they had helped to build rather than simply conquered. It was a home where the mistakes of the past could be forgiven and the dreams of the future could be shared by everyone. The Council had banned humans from the galaxy, but you cannot ban a river from flowing to the sea. You cannot ban the dawn from breaking after a long night. And you cannot ban a species from fulfilling its destiny, especially when that destiny includes lifting up everyone else along the way. As the Unity departed for the unknown regions of space, its mixed crew carrying the hopes and dreams of 43 different species, Chan-Wu smiled. The galaxy was no longer divided between rulers and subjects, between the strong and the weak. It was united in exploration, in discovery, in the endless quest to become something better than they had ever been before. The humans had come home. But more importantly, they had brought everyone else home with them.